Hi, I'm Gary Mengel, probably more infamous as Ardwulf, the director of the Charles S. Roberts Awards for Excellence in Conflict Simulation Games, and I'd like to welcome you to our presentation of the 2021 awards. These have been a long time coming, and I'll say frankly that the awards had some very serious challenges this year. In response to those challenges, we're working hard to improve the awards process, but we also had as our highest priority delivering the 2021 awards, and while we're late, we're here, and we're both delighted and proud to have been able to pull all of the threads together and make the awards happen this year. In early 2023, we'll hit the ground running for the 2022 awards, and very soon you'll hear about the changes that we've made to stabilize the process and help ensure the continuity of the CSR awards. But tonight, we're recognizing the excellence in wargaming that happened in 2021, and we at the CSR Awards are all ecstatic to have brought you a very strong slate of nominees in every category. Every game whose name you'll hear tonight is an outstanding and award-worthy example of the best that wargames had to offer in 2021, but in the end, there can be only one. So tonight we announce our winners. Before handing you back over to Dan, I should take just a moment to thank those who have helped make the Charles S. Roberts Awards happen this year. First, we'd like to thank those members of the Board of Governors who have been central to facilitating the execution of the 2021 awards and helping to move the CSR awards forward to 2022 and beyond. Second, we'd like to thank Dan Pancaldi, without whom you wouldn't be watching this delightful video presentation right now, and whose hard work and initiative have been way more instrumental than you'd think in getting and keeping the awards rolling. And Dan has done this without any official acknowledgement of his efforts. That ends today, so thanks, Dan. We'd also like to thank James Tobias and Kevin Bertram, without whom our new CSR website wouldn't have happened. Lastly, I should thank you, the members of the wargaming community, who have kept up with the awards and submitted ballots, or even if you're just watching this right now. The reason we're doing this, besides recognizing excellence in our small hobby, is to engage the community, and that's a moving target, but we've made a lot of significant strides in recent months, and we'll be looking for more ways to engage in the future. With that, I'll turn you back over to Dan, and hopefully you won't have to look at my ugly mug again for at least a week. Enjoy the show.
Best Ancients to Medieval Era Board Wargame. And the nominees are Cradle of Civilization, Compass Games, designers Sean Chick and Daniel Chick. Dawn of Battle, Worthington Publishing designer Mike Nagel. Mediterranean Empires, Decision Games, designer Javier Romero. Rome Inc., Against the Odds, designer Philip Gelay. And the Grass Crown Hollandspiele, designer Amabel Holland. And the winner is Rome Inc., Against the Odds, designer Philip Gelay. Best Early Gunpowder Board Wargame. Bayonets and Tomahawks, GMT Games, designer Mac Rodrigue. Command and Colors Samurai Battles, GMT Games, Richard Borg. Granada, Last Stand of the Moors, Compass Games, designer Jose Antonio Rivero. Lepanto, 1571, A Sea Turned Red by Blood, Asias Edizioni, designer Enrico Acerbi. And the winner is Bayonets and Tomahawks, GMT Games, designer Mac Rodriguez. Late gunpowder to pre-World War I board games. First Blood in Crimea, Battle of the Alma, Compass Games, designer Ty Bomba. Nachod and Skalitz, 1866, Vevictus, designer Arnold Giraud-Mosé and Luc Olivier. Red Flag over Paris, GMT Games, designer Fred Serval. War of the Triple Alliance, NAC War Games, designer Pedro Inaki Martinez. And the winner is Red Flag over Paris, GMT Games, designer Fred Serval.
Oh putain!
Best Napoleonic Board War Game. The nominees are Coalition, The Napoleonic Wars, Compass Games, designer Javier Garcia de Gabiola. Napoleon in Spain, Operational Studies Group, designer Kevin Zucker. La Bataille de Hanau, Legion War Games, designer Didier Rouy. Trois Jours de Gloire, 1805, Vevictus, designer Frédéric Bay. And La Bataille de Berlin, Marshall Enterprises, designer James Soto and Dennis A. Spores. And the winner is Napoleon in Spain, Kevin Zucker. Best American Civil War Board War Games. Atlanta Campaign, The Death of Dixie, Lock and Load Publishing, designer Don Lowry. The Day Was Ours, Revolution Games, designer Matt Ward. Hood Strikes North, Multiman Publishing, designer Joseph M. Balkowski, Ed Beach, and Chris Withers. Our God Was My Shield, HOLLANDSPIELE, designer John Thiessen. Thunder at Dawn, Revolution Games, designer Claude Whalen. And the winner is Hood Strikes North, Multiman Publishing, designer Joseph M. Balkowski, Ed Beach, and Chris Withers. That's because I'm Italian, not because I play war games. The first words I heard when I was born was something like this. Ah, ma quanto bello sto baby! Frank, coming over here and check out the sta creatura! Quanto bello sto baby!
This is Steve Hackett here. You're watching No Enemies Here, Wargaming News.
And I'm Grant.
Shut up!
Really? These sons of they've been making us look bad for like 2 years now.
They started. Best World War I era war board games. Trench Club, PKB Games, designer Philip K. Berger. McGowan and Lombardi's The Great War, RBM Studios, designer Dana Lombardi. Empire at Sunrise, HOLLANDSPIELE, designer John Gorkowski. 1914 Führer à l'Est, Vevictus, designer Laurent Martin. Decisive Victory, 1918, Suisson, Legion War Games, designer Serge Betancourt and Tim Gale. And the winner is Decisive Victory 1918, So we saw Legion Wargames designers Serge Betancourt and Tim Gale. Best World War II era board war games. Zero Leader, Danverson Games designer Chuck Siegert. Atlantic Chase, GMT Games designer Jeremy White. Absolute War, GMT Games designer Karl Paradzi. Panzer's Last Stand, Multi-Man Publishing designer Carl Fung. Conquest and Consequence, GMT Games designer Craig Besank. The Third Winter, Multi-Man Publishing designer Anthony Burkett. And the winner is Atlantic Chase, GMT Games designer Jeremy White. Best Modern Era Board War Game. NATO, The Cold War Goes Hot, Compass Games, designer Bruce Maxwell. 1985, Sacred Oil, Thin Red Line Games, designer Fabrizio Vianello. The Dogs of War, Thin Red Line Games, designer Fabrizio Vianello. South China Sea, Compass Games, designer John Gorkowski. And the winner is NATO, The Cold War Goes Hot, Compass Games, designer Bruce Maxwell.
Hello, everyone. I want to let you know how honored and proud I am to be a part of these awards ceremony. My name is Joanne Roberts. I am Charles S. Roberts' daughter. I'm daughter number 3. He had 5 girls, though I am the self-proclaimed favorite one. We also had 5 boys in my family. So I wanted to share a little bit of some of the things about my father that you may or may not know. The man that founded Avalon Hill was Charles S. Roberts, my father. We shared some of the same interests, and we also shared the same birthday. It was quite an honor, and it's quite an honor to be able to tell you a little bit about this man, the man that has the legacy and whose contributions started this whole fabulous, even though it's expensive, hobby of wargaming. The beginning of Avalon Hill came about, in fact, in Dad's own words, as an accident, though it turned into quite a profitable and long-standing hobby and game company. He quoted his games for people who like to think. 7 simple words, which started the concept of Avalon Hill Game Company and spawned a hobby and industry that hundreds of thousands of people have enjoyed in one capacity or another over these last 60 years. The founding father, my dad, was brilliant. He was creative and quite a marketing genius. Charles S. Roberts was born February 3rd, 1930, in the small town of Catonsville, Maryland, which is a suburb of Baltimore. He was born from a railroad engineer, his father, and his mother, who was Mildred Stewart. And together, they had 2 children, Charles and his younger sister, Jane. Dad acquired his true love and his passion for railroads growing up with all those trains as a young boy. He went on, though, in his later years to write over even 17 train books on the Pennsylvania Railroad and the B&O Railroad. He was also known as a historian in that railroad circuit. His mother, though, reports times as a young boy when she would go to find him and he was playing quietly in his bedroom with clay soldiers, and a quite intricate setup. His mock battles with his soldiers of clay turned into quite an advanced method and map boards of battlefields. At the tender age of 22, he was freshly married to his high school sweetheart, Patricia. Dad went on to hand draw the first prototype for the game Tactics, and then he went on to publish this game. In 1952 to 1954, he finalized and then published this game, the Tactics game that started it all. In that time, though, he and Patricia adopted 3 children, and they had 2 of their own. Unfortunately, his wife, Pat, sadly succumbed to cancer, and he was then left with 5 young children on his own. By then, though, he no longer had control of Avalon Hill Company, but it certainly did prosper and went on as it was in good hands. But a little bit more about my dad. So he was happy to have met, and then he married very quickly my biological mother, Joan Barnard Lynch. We had a total then of 10 children, almost like the Brady Bunch family, but larger. We went on to expand the ranch house on Gun Road, and it accommodated 10 kids, 5 dogs, and a parakeet. So growing up in that house, it was fantastic. It was loud and rambunctious and a lot of fun. It was above the Avalon area of Patapsco State Park, which also had the B&O Railroad running right below us several times a day. Our childhood was very busy, but we were very blessed. Dad spent much of his time with my mom in his new publishing company at that time, which was called Barnard Roberts and Company. He also loved growing large gardens of vegetables and flowers. Matter of fact, my first memory of Dad was when he met my mom. He brought roses for her from his garden that he grew. So Dad also commissioned this painting that's behind me by Harlan Heine for my mom for 1 year for Christmas. And he was very generous. He let me have this rose picture, which I treasure. Dad was an avid gardener, and he also loved to sail, and he also loved to read. Some of the other things that he loved were his border collies and his bagpipes. He was very generous and humble, and he would be very pleased to know that his legacy has managed to become worldwide, and I thank everyone for keeping his legacy alive. I hope one day that I can meet all of you and see how far and how long his legacy will continue. So I thank you for allowing me to be part of this, and I apologize. I've never been on camera with people to watch like this. So thank you very much. I'm very grateful to everyone.
Best Solitaire or Cooperative Board War Game. Rome Incorporated, Against the Odds magazine designer Philip Jallet. Zero Leader, Dan Versen Games designer Chuck Siegert. Soldiers in Postman's Uniform, Dan Versen Games designer David Thompson. Atlantic Chase, GMT Games designer Jeremy White. Tarawa 1943, Worthington Publishing designer Grant Wiley and Mike Wiley. And the winner is Atlantic Chase, GMT Games designer Jeremy White. Best expansion or supplement for an existing board war game. Panzer Grenadier, Black Panthers, Avalanche Press designer Michael Benninghoff. Space Corps, Ventures, GMT Games designer John Butterfield. Undaunted Reinforcements, Trevor Benjamin, David Thompson, Osprey Game. Tank Duel, Expansion number 1, North Africa, GMT Games designer Mike Bertuccelli. Wing Leader, Legends 1937-1945, GMT Games designer Lee Brimicum Wood. And the winner is Undaunted Reinforcements, Osprey Games designer David Thompson. Best board war game playing components. Panzer's Last Stand, Multi-Man Publishing. Atlantic Chase, GMT. Samurai Battles, GMT. NATO, The Cold War Goes Hot, Compass Games. Bayonets and Tomahawks, GMT. And the winner is Atlantic Chase, GMT. Best Wargame Map Graphics. The Deadly Woods, Revolution Games Map Artist Charles Keebler. Bayonets and Tomahawks, GMT Games Map Artist Marc Rodrigue. NATO, The Cold War Goes Hot, Compass Games Map Artist Bruce Yerian. Hood Strikes North, Multi-Man Publishing Map Artist Joe Youst. Panzer's Last Stand, Multi-Man Publishing Map Artist Dean Essig. And the winner is Bayonets and Tomahawks, GMT Games Map Artist Marc Rodrigue. Best Cover Art. .303 Squadron, Draco Ideas, Box Artist Pyotr Furkazevich. The Third Winter, Multi-Man Publishing, Box Art Nicholas Escaby. Storm Above the Reich, GMT Games, Antonin Carides and Roger B. McGowan. Panzer's Last Stand, Multi-Man Publishing, Nicholas Escaby. And the winner is Storm Above the Reich, GMT Games, Roger B. McGowan. Best Board Game Rules. The Third Winter, Multi-Man Publishing, designer Anthony Burkett. NATO, The Cold War Goes Hot, Compass Games, designer Bruce Maxwell. Decisive Victory, 1918, Soissons, Legion Wargames, designer Steve Betancourt and Tim Gale. Atlantic Chase, GMT Games, designer Jeremy White. Panzer's Last Stand, Multi-Man Publishing, designer Carl Fung. And the winner is Atlantic Chase, GMT Games, designer Jeremy White. Best Computer War Game. Ultimate Admiral, Dreadnoughts, Game Labs. Combat Mission, Cold War, Battlefront. War in the East 2, Slytherin Limited. And the winner is War in the East 2, Slytherin Limited. Best Individual Historical, Scenario Analysis, or Book. Wayne Hansen, Let's Play, Devil Boats, PT Boats in the Solomon Overview and Review. Mike Benninghoff, Race in America, Parts 1 to 9. Robert Carroll, Kilroy's Deep Dive, Wargame Scale. And the winner is Wayne Hansen, Let's Play Devil Boats, PT Boats in the Solomons, Overview and Review. Best game review or analysis website, webcast, or podcast. Moe's Game Table. KilRoyWasHere. Big Board Gaming. The Player's Aid. And the winner is The Player's Aid. Yeah, I'm Dan Pancaldi. And I'm not going to be one of those guys that says, oh, it was an honor and a pleasure to do this. This was hard work. It was long work. I'm sick. you see? Plus, I have to do my show on Saturdays, and I got to be with Artie on Tuesdays. And I got to deal with Robert Carroll. Get me a video. This guy doesn't get me anything anymore. What the hell? What a chore. Come on. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with all these people who are trying to grease me under the table. Come on. Make me the game of the year. Come on. Make me the designer of the year. Man, I gotta refuse all that crap. But hey, you know who you are, eh? So, I need a new car. I'm gonna tell you. You gotta give in sometimes.